East, we bring you visuals of a startling interaction between a Russian jet flying near Alaska and a US plane sent to intercept it. Very dramatic visuals. You will see how the two aircraft came really close and a Russian jet was seen maneuvering as if teasing the US jet. A crisscross maneuvering by the Russian jet right at the edge of a US aircraft seen over Alaska. The visual has gone viral on social media. Russian jet seen near Alaska, this during drills. So we see that the tension between the two countries, which were largely over the Russia-Ukraine war, have now escalated further with the tensions in the Middle East. Again, a Russian and a US polarization being witnessed in another conflict, this time in the Middle East. Another breaking news coming in. New Japan premier vows to push strong defense through US alliance, condemns Iran attack on Israel. The Japanese premier said, and I quote, "The attack by Iran is not acceptable. We would like to condemn it severely, but we would like to cooperate well so that this will not escalate into an all-out war, and we would like to work together to calm the situation." So the world is coming together, calling for calm, calling for de-escalation. This time a statement coming in from the new Japanese premier. We are being joined by Ali from Beirut, where Republic is reporting from live. Ali, what is the situation there right now in Beirut? We have seen in the aftermath of the Iranian attack, we are seeing Israeli attack continuing on Beirut and attack also continuing from Lebanon. What is the status right now?
Well, it seems that Israel is still adamant on escalating in the region following the Iranian attack, which, to specify, is a retaliatory attack for the assassination of Hamas political bureau chief. All diplomatic efforts he was leading for a ceasefire, and in spite from the fact that he was there on the inauguration day of the Iranian president, the new Iranian president Masoud Pezeshkian, was assassinated by Israel, and Israel took not only credit for it but boasted about it, on the wall every single diplomatic convention. That's on one hand. On the other hand, there is the affair of assassinating Hezbollah secretary leader, martyr Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah, a very well-beloved figure, a figure who was leading for de-escalating efforts by not targeting vital targets within the Israeli territories. Nevertheless, Israel has decided to escalate and attack a figure which not only Iran, but views as central. Israel has put itself right in the heart of escalation, right in the heart of retaliatory attacks. And this is the retribution many have said is awaiting Israel, because they've taken for granted all of their assets. Now, when it comes to all of their military assets and all of their targets. When it comes to Lebanon, the situation is somewhat still the same. I believe Israel has been conducting intensive air raids across the southern suburbs of Beirut and the south of Lebanon. I personally heard them during the entirety of the night. These air raids, I believe, they're additional intensity were intended to kind of blow off the steam and ensure the Israeli public that Israel still has the capacity to deter its enemies. But nevertheless, on the southern borders, when it comes to the Lebanese Islamic resistance, Hezbollah, defending the Lebanese borders from Israeli invasion, having achieved at least 5 to 6 direct hits towards Israelis, the Israelis grouping in the region, and they even caught and ambushed an Israeli troop trying to come through a border region, and were able to target them directly. The IOF, as well as Israeli medias and Palestinian media, talk about heavy losses at the borders, at the Lebanese occupied Palestinian borders, and speak of a deteriorating situation and morale within the Israeli army. Of course, Israel will try to offset this with a new round of aerial attacks, aerial aggressions against civilian areas. Nothing targeted, nothing precision about these attacks. Let me tell you, I saw them firsthand. But they are attempting to appease the public opinion in that sense and tell them that we are still capable of fending for ourselves, despite the fact that they have escalated the aggression and the tension in the region and are unable to get out of the quagmire they have created.
Ali, we have another breaking news coming in that South Korean president has ordered a dispatch of military aircraft to evacuate nationals from the Middle East. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol ordered the immediate dispatch of military aircraft to evacuate South Koreans in areas affected by the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. Presidential office spokesperson said in a press briefing that Yoon had ordered the immediate dispatch of military aircraft and asked officials to operate an around-the-clock monitoring system to assess the situation. So an escalation there, which everyone is witnessing. Ali, I'm coming back to you, taking this discussion further. After the 7/10 terror attacks on Israel, just a day after that, in fact, less than 24 hours after the Hamas attacks on Israel, we also saw offensive attacks from Hezbollah from the south of Lebanon towards the north of Israel. Is it really right to say that Israel is escalating this conflict?
Yes, it is, I believe, in all the political and international law sense, an escalation on the part of Israel, because let us be very clear, what happened on October 7th might be problematic to a lot of people, but nevertheless, it occurred around the border areas of Gaza. Gaza is well known in the international law that it is being considered and treated as an occupied territory, not as an independent territory by the Israelis. It is an occupied territory and has been treated as an open prison by the Israeli regime, and has been forcing its residents to live under extreme dire circumstances, cutting off food and electricity and water at any point in time. This is what led to the escalation in the first place. Now, what Hezbollah did on October the 8th was a strategic intervention, because they understood that the Gazans, as we saw over the past years, and we're talking about officially 42,000 martyrs killed Palestinians within Gaza, and we're talking about the Lancet has estimated the actual number of deaths about a massive ethnic cleansing. And Hezbollah understood that from a strategic standpoint, and understood that the Palestinian factions, part of what is known as a resistance axis, and this is where the real geopolitics to not be wiped out. This is an approach that has been taken initially by the United States and the UK and Germany and France and Japan and other nations that have directly intervened within Israeli affairs when it comes to its position in the region. So why is it that major nations can interfere? This is the logic of Hezbollah, whilst other collaborators or other colleagues or other resistance factions cannot interfere. And to balance out the support that the US chiefly gave Israel, which was a massive support both in troops, in military aid, and in financial aid, Hezbollah had to step in and rebalance a bit the position. So in that sense, this is an escalation. Targeted assassinations on inaugurations day are escalations. The destruction and the level of political leaders and diplomatic chiefs is an escalation. And to add the insult to injury, Israel has been conducting intensive air raids that have killed, to this day, we've had some of the highest death rates in Lebanon and in conflict history in the 21st century, where they managed to kill almost 600 Lebanese in a single day. That was past Monday. And they've went on a killing spree where we're talking about 100 to 150 civilians per day, sometimes up to 300 and 200. So in this sense, Israel is not seeking to de-escalate. It is seeking to escalate and drag the entire region with it to the ground. We've seen this through the American talk. We've seen this through the British talk, a sort of repetition of the same idea that Israel has the right to defend itself, but against whom at this point? The civilians. At least France had some different opinion. French President Emmanuel Macron has called the UNSC for an urgent meeting on Friday, the assassination of the Hezbollah chief, and said that this is unprecedented escalation, unacceptable. The Belgian vice prime minister said the same thing. The deputy prime minister said the same thing. The Spanish foreign minister said the same thing. And here we're talking about Western countries, not Eastern or Asian or African. So we're still in the same, let's say, ideological bloc. So from that standpoint, if Western nations are seeing Israel's action as an escalation, then certainly they are. And they
Ali, I would like to interrupt you there. We will keep coming back to you. Please continue to stay with Republic. We are following the story very closely.